Let's talk about capitalism. First, we need to talk about economic system. This is just a structure for allocating limited resources. There is not one set economic system, and no system is perfect. And that's why there's not just a standard approach for this. So we have capitalism. This is an economic system. It's known as free enterprise or free market system. It's based on private ownership, economic freedom, and fair competition. The key here with a capitalism is value. And competition is open as businesses can compete with one another to sell their products to consumers. And the key here is value. And value, you may want to know, is best defined as what your consumers get out of a product compared to what they expected to get and what they paid for it. So if you go buy a product and you're like, this is a great product, it works great, it's exactly what I wanted, and the price is better than the competitors. So you value that product, and that's the key here. And while we're talking about value, I want to mention that what I value may be different than what you value. So it could be different for different people. An example is I may want for example, I would be happy with a small car. And I'm happy with my vehicle, and I tell my children all the time, it's paid for, it runs, I'm satisfied. But someone else you may want a newer vehicle with no mileage, and you may want a luxury car. So what I value may be different than what you value. So we're going to talk about the fundamental rights of capitalism. And the first one is the right to own a business and keep after tax profits. So I should have the right to keep any money that I earn from my business. After I pay my expenses and my taxes, I should get that profit. I have the right to that. And our profit is what drives our business decisions. What if you couldn't keep the profit? Why would you even want to own a business if you could not keep that profit? That's one of the driving forces. Then the right to own property. I have the choice in what I can buy, what I can sell, and what I can use in my business. I have that choice. Government does not play, or they play a limited role in instances of the greater good, such as the production of drugs or the creation of environmental hazards. So there is a little bit of government control there, but for the most part, I have the right. And then I have the right to free choice in my business. So we buy and sell products, and we work where we choose to work and to make our own choices. We have the right to free choice. The last one is the right to fair competition. Government does regulate industries to prevent unfair business practices that limit the ability to compete. So we cannot have monopolies, but we have the right to compete. So there are regulations there. In order to have a free market system, competition is very important. However, in any free market system, competition is going to vary because of the market forces and the conditions. We need to understand the different competitive markets. There are 4 degrees of competition, and the first degree of competition is pure competition. In pure competition, you have many companies selling the same products in the marketplace. So you might want to underline identical. And because there are so many companies, no one company has control over the price. So when you have a market like this, it's easy to enter the market with a new company. And we really don't see this type of competitive environment anymore. Then you have the monopolistic competition, and most companies in America operate in this competitive environment. Companies are selling products based on value, and each product is set apart from the competition. So companies have some control over prices. The barrier to enter in this market is low, and that means it's relatively easy to enter and exit this type of business environment. You have oligopoly. Only a few businesses in this type of market exist because of resource allocation, and it's very difficult to enter the market. Some examples here would be BP, Exxon, GM, Nissan. These are just a few examples. It would be difficult to enter this market because of the resources needed to make these products. Prices remain somewhat constant between competitors. And then we need to touch on monopoly. This is mainly one key business, and I mentioned this earlier. Government tries to ensure that monopolies don't exist. Microsoft is an example. They tried to become a monopoly by forcing all the computer companies to use their product. They were unsuccessful. The government stepped in and helped prevent this. There are times that we have what we call a natural monopoly. Examples of a natural monopoly are power companies and cable companies, because think about it, you only need one to bring the service to your house. If you think about if we had competition with our electricity, then you would have all these different utility poles lining the highways as opposed to one set of poles. And then it would get really confusing when the lights go out and all these electric companies had technicians out working. It would be mass chaos. So that's an example of a natural monopoly. So when I think back at economics, the first thing that comes to my mind is supply and demand. That's what I think of. And this is the fundamental principles of a free market system. The dynamic interaction between buyers and sellers affect the range of products and prices. So we have supply, and this is the number of products that producers are willing to offer for sale at different market prices. And then you have the supply curve, which we're going to look at, and it's a graph relationship between price and quantity, and this is from the supplier standpoint. And an example in your notes is if the price, think about the price of pizza. If the price of pizza goes up, businesses will make more pizza so that the supply curve increases or goes up as the price increases. And we're going to talk a little bit about that. We're just going to touch on it in this class. Demand is the quantity of the products that the consumers are willing to buy at different prices. The demand curve is that graph relationship between price and quantity from the customer's standpoint. So supply is what we said from the supplier standpoint. The demand is from the customer standpoint. The equilibrium price is the point where the supply curve and the demand curve intersect. It's where they're going to intersect, and that's going to be the right price point for supply and demand. And the ideal situation in the marketplace is the point where the supply equals the demand. And at that point, customers are paying the right price and buying the right number of products so that they're getting their needs met, and at the same time, the business is making the right number of products and selling those products at the right price so they are not producing too much. We want to get to that equilibrium price. So here's that supply curve that I was talking about. So see how you have your price of pizzas over here and your quantity of pizza supplied per day. So see how it keeps going up as the price of pizza goes up. We're going to make more, but there's only so much we can make. So this is going to slow down. And then over here, your demand curve. So you see, as the price goes down, we're going to want to buy more as a consumer. If, hey, there's sale on pizza tonight. Oh, I need to go buy some. That's a really good price. So the demand's going to go up as the price goes down. And then there's an equilibrium point, and that's where that demand curve and that supply curve intersect. So that's the right price and producing the right quantity.